Thank you very much for the recording reminder. So welcome our CCNP class. We're looking at how to paste items into a device. So let's go ahead and there we go. Maybe Netacad must have been down. Okay. Let me see if Google, you should be able to get to Gmail. Maybe not. We may only be allowing Netacad. Let me think about this. We may be able to, there may be a way.
It seems only we can go to Cisco Academy, nothing else working inside that.
Yeah, that's a security feature. Now I can't ask Patrick, you said pastebin.
Pastebin.com, but I just was looks like it says cannot access. Someone Keisha said he cannot access any other sites. So I don't know.
Right, but I can add pastebin if we need it.
Okay.
Try to anyway. Let me I don't, my email's sitting there.
It's a nice web-based. Basically, you can log in, put whatever text you want there. That way, you can access it from any browser.
Okay, let's see if we can. I'll get there. So this is it right here. Okay. Let me get this added.
Essentially, you might have to. I think the account you create is free, and then you can basically log in, and whatever you have in there can be accessed from any browser.
Okay. The other thing that we possibly could do is inside of, I was trying to think about, could we create, or can I turn on the files section for y'all? Let me try something here. Let me try something, Keisha, while we're all in here together. I'm going to allow, well, it may not let me do it. It's not letting me make it visible. Okay, it's not going to let me do it. I was trying to see if I could actually make this area, because this is where I put all the files for you. And then you can put them in there and then download them. Tell you what you could do. Can you email yourself? Let's see if you can do this. See if to find yourself.
You will have to select first the class, this class or all the students.
Otherwise, it'll do all my people. Oh, I've got so many. Yeah, it's not gonna do it. There it goes. Finder summer. I got so many of them that I probably won't even be able to find it. Nope. No, that's not gonna work. Let me get this pastebin added. I'll get that added to all the pods, and then we can use that if that's okay with everybody.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Shoot.
I did the first lab basically based on the instruction that provided. I download the YAML file, I uploaded into CML and start working, and I went through all the running configuration, backup running configuration as a startup configuration, to make it permanent, for example.
Right.
Now, at the end, when I download the YAML file, I realized I don't see any of those changes. How those device configuration impact YAML file?
If you save them and export it again, it should have them in it.
Where I have to save it, basically I'm
so
configuring devices.
Here's the first lab, so lab 112. So I just downloaded it. So I'm gonna go into Lab Manager. I'm actually gonna, let me turn off this lab because I had another lab I had booted up. I'm gonna import the lab. So we'll go and import the lab we just got, which is 112.
Yeah.
Okay, upload it. All right, and then let's see. So here it is. So here's the lab, and it's this is one of our bigger ones actually, believe it or not. So I'm gonna boot it. We'll let it boot, and then You should be able to make your changes and then export the lab when you're done.
I know. I did all those things. Basically, I configure all the devices. I check the running configuration. I backed up running configuration as a startup, even
Right.
at the end. So I couldn't see the any changes on YAML file. I said, okay, let's just make a video from my basically running configuration and a startup configuration. I went to every device and I make a video of it just to see that basically it's done, but I don't know. And then at the end, I went there and I tried to download it, but YAML file, it doesn't shows. I don't see anything in YAML file that reflective of those changes. I uploaded my YAML file for the first assignment.
Yep.
You may want to look at it to see basically what's. I think something is missing here somehow.
Okay. Well,
sorry to
no,
interrupt. I think the major problem in that case will be that when you are downloading the file in which you've made configuration changes, it's a little bit, the file name, it's a little bit similar to the original file name of the lab, right? But I think
it is the original name. So like
yeah.
right now, I changed the name on this to D1, and I'm gonna do a do right. And let's try, folks. And I may be wrong because, like I said, this is something new to me too. We're trying to get the kinks worked out with CML. So let's do config T. We'll call this host D2 and do right.
I think the name is saved, but not other configuration.
No, the other configs are saved. I just think it's the file extension that will make it different. When you save it afresh, you are going to have YAML twice in front of the name. So that's the way you can differentiate it.
Exactly. It's going to change it a little bit, but still it should somehow those changes reflected into YAML file. This is.
I think it does. It should keep it. I mean, like I said, let me do this real quick. We'll just add just to this interface.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it, and I'm not following any lab, folks. I'm just putting in just putting in examples here.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's see what this one is here. So this should be gig 01. All right, somebody chat. Let me pull chat up. You had the same issue, Keisha? Okay, so let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. So int gi 0/1 IP add 10.0.0.1. Okay, so let's do a do right. Now what should happen now is if I download the lab, it's going to save it as 112 YAML.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. So now if we go look in my downloads file, we should have YAML and YAML. Now YAML is your file.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could have renamed that. But we'll just leave it for now. But we could have renamed this too.
Exactly. Let's download this one and look at it, or let's look at the content of this file.
Okay, so I'm going to go import lab.
I open it in Notepad++, and I don't see any changes.
Well, let's open it in Lab Manager. Let's go in here.
Yeah, even I did that one. I say, okay, let's upload that one to see if now all the router configure. No, even I did that part.
Okay, well, let's let it boot and we'll see.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not keeping it, but it should.
Yeah, it should keep it, or somehow it should be a command that it say, okay, now this configuration changes from running or a startup should be reflected into YAML. I think maybe there is a command or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, so it's got the label. That was D1. There's that. Let's see.
Yeah.
D1, I didn't do anything on. R2, I didn't do anything on. It'd be R1.
Okay, look at the IP address that you put.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I got to find R1 first. It's down here, PC, D2.
My name also changed. The device name has been changed, but not other configurations.
D1, there's the label on that. So that's, now that configuration's that. So there's R1. Yeah, it didn't save it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not showing it here anyway, not showing the YAML YAML file.
Yeah.
So let's check it now back over here. So open console. Okay, see. All right, so I kept that. Oops. It kept it. But am I in the wrong place? I'll make sure I'm not in the wrong one. I was in the wrong one. Okay, so let's go. So this is YAML YAML. I was in the wrong one. Sorry. Nope, you're right. It didn't keep it.
Yeah. For some reason, I think it should be a command to say copy from a startup or running into YAML file, or YAML file somehow should be updated with those configuration. I think we are missing that part.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to investigate that. The only, what I'll tell you to do then is do a show run and put it on the end of your document.
Yeah.
And
Here the problem is that one that I cannot copy and paste inside from this virtual machine. So basically what I did, I make a video of it and I went
work. Or yeah, you can do snips too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did snippets in my in the instructions, if that's okay.
Yeah, snippets are fine. Snippets will be those are fine.
Okay.
Let me make some notes here to do some investigation. So we know we need pastebin.com added as so you can do your copy your configurations. You also can make them at mousepad and then just upload them, but I don't want you to have to recreate them every time. So I'd rather you have access to that. Quick question, Patrick. Anybody, can you think of any security reason that pastebin would be a security problem? If we allow that,
reading through the notes, it is public, so that I don't know how public we need to make these or not, or if it's okay to have configuration files out there.
Yeah, these config files, that's fine if they're public. There shouldn't be any big deal on that.
Okay. Yep.
And then saving configs in CML. I'm gonna look up that and see what we can find out. I'm like you. I would think that when we export it, it should save it, but it obviously is not doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But we need to just figure out how to do that if it's possible.
Yeah.
So, I think the best thing to do is to upload the notepads into. I think we are able to upload the notepads into our NetAcad profile.
Yeah, you could do that too. And that's the other thing. That's one thing you could do now. If you do your mouse pads here, you can always just upload those. Like if you have, let me go back in here. If you're inside of here and you copy the running config, you can open up mousepad. You can paste it in here and then just upload that as part of your assignment in your module uploads, because you can upload multiple different files. So somebody actually uploaded all three routers in their upload. So when this upload here, you don't have to upload just a single file. You could upload 3 different files, each one of them a different upload if you want to do that. So that's possible too. So the lab upload here, you can do it with, you can do that. So that's a possibility. And then you want to do screenshots and all those things. I think that is a good point that we need to figure out. Tell you something else you can do. I'll tell you something else you can do. If you want to make life really easy on yourself, okay, watch this. So we're in here and let's say we've done the lab. So let me power on this pod. So so I've powered on the pod. Once it gets up and running, everything's running. So I'm gonna pull this machine up as soon as it gets, when it's booting now, but okay, so I'm done with the lab. So I'm open the console. I can do a show run, and I can put it in mousepad, or I can just do the following. Inside of NetLabs, we have the ability to take screenshots of the lab itself. Okay, so let's say I've made my changes, and let me get this finished here now.
Why not we have some sort of a, if that mousepad that we're gonna use it, if we copy and paste those running config or a startup config into mousepad and then email those things, can we do email? I tried to do it email, but it
No, you
didn't
can't
work.
email. You can't email because email is not allowed. But just what you could do is you could copy it, paste it in the mousepad, and go right here and do take screenshot. And that'll take a screenshot
Okay,
of
but it's gonna get the full screenshot, or it's gonna get portion by portion. Then you have to
Well, it'll
scroll
get a
it.
portion, but you don't. If you've got the lab working, you don't have to give me every single bit of what's in the lab.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with it,
Okay.
show me enough that I know you did the lab. You know, for instance, do a show IP brief on the router. Show me if it's a lab on BGP, do show IP BGP, you know, neighbors or whatever. And then just show me that it's, you know, in fact, you could even do where the command asks you to do different show commands. You can do up to 15 screenshots per lab.
Okay.
And then, yeah, well, if you, Keisha, do it however you want to do. If you want to do your own screenshots and put them in a Word document and upload them, that's perfectly fine too. But the good news about that is you'll have them yourself for you when you go to do the labs. If you do this method that I'm talking about, only I can see those screenshots.
Yeah, that's one thing I like too, is that I can go back and see like the commands or what I did for each of those steps, and I can just save it. But it's just easier to do it until I get a rhythm going. That's all.
That's fine. That's no problem. But I will get a way for you to be able to create text files and drop them in a little bit easier. So we'll get this pastebin.com added.
That's good. Thank you.
What I want to do while we're here, I do want to show you the method I've been using to create different labs, just because I think it will be helpful for you. What I'm doing, let me open a different one because that's got my recording from. So inside of here, well, I'm gonna look actually at 2412, which is the next one in my list. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this with Word. Okay, so I actually print it out because it's just easier for me to print it out, and I've got a printed copy. But I print it in Word, and so I take this document right here, this picture. So I've got my picture, and we're going to build this lab. Now, I will tell you one of the things I wanted to warn everybody about as we're working inside of CML. If we obviously, and I know someone said NVNG does have serial interfaces, which is awesome, but CML doesn't. So we just don't have them. But when we add a lab and we build it, I always do this. I just give it the name. So this is lab 2412. 24.1.2. Now I'm gonna go in here, and you'll notice that the first router you pull out is usually has the R1 nomenclature. So we'll go R1, then we'll go R2, and we'll go R3. And what I'm trying to do in terms of simplicity's sake, and I didn't do this on my first one, I apologize, but I've got a little better system now. But I take, and when I connect these two, I put G00 to G00. And so instead of 000, I just knock off a 0. Okay. On the opposite side is G01 to G00, or G01 to G0. Okay. And I'm putting this down on my worksheet here. And then I'm going to, everything else down there is a loop back. So now I'm going to put these two across here. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to make them match. So G01 to G01, which would have been the serial interface. Now, one thing we need to be very careful with anytime a lab, especially as a routing protocol lab, or as a lab that deals with, I do G02, G02, that deals with routing, be aware that because these are no longer serial interfaces, your routing behavior may change because the speeds are different. These are now gigabit links. And as such, you're not going to have them set up to be non-gigabit links. They're going to be, are not serial links. So be aware that when you're doing the labs, exactly, the bandwidth is there. You could change the bandwidth if you wanted to. You could actually change the bandwidth command if you want to play with the routing. I'm perfectly fine with everyone as long as you know that it could be different. Just be aware that it's because of the way bandwidth is figured and the speed of the link, you're going to end up with some differences. Having said that, we've got, I wish that link right there would look decent. I saw somebody doing that and had it working right. And I tried to figure out how they got it to do the pretty link, but either way. So now I've got this YAML file. So what I do now is I just go and I download the lab and I save it as 2412 YAML. All right. Then I got to go over here and I'm going to go to my file section. Now you can't do this right now because you're not the instructor, but if you had your own class, you could do this. And I have found out, folks, there is actually a CML for education. And I'm working on getting prices for that so that I can get you some information if you're interested in possibly using this for your classes, because I do think it's got some cool benefits that could be useful. But let me go on down here now, 2412. So I'm just going to add in under file my YAML 2412 right there, and I always indent it 2 times. That's just what I do. It's my personal preference, and I mean, obviously you could do whatever you want. So at this point, the YAML file is created, but now we need to make our changes to our document. And what I do is I just go in here, and because I've kind of memorized this, I know that this is gig 00. This is no longer serial, it's gig 01. This is gig 02 right here instead of serial 0, gig 02. This actually is very slight change, nothing major there. And then over here on R3, the big change is that. And then gig 01, G01, and G02. And then I make my changes here by simply copying the picture, pasting it into Paint, cutting out all of the interfaces. That's one of the reasons why, folks, it's taking me so long to get these things done. This is a pretty tedious little process. But honestly, I got where I'm knocking them out pretty quick. So I'm hoping to have most of them up through this chapter done early next week. Then I go in here and click, and I used size 8, I believe it is. And so G00, G00. Golly, I can't type. G01, G00, G00, and then so on and so forth. So again, not super interesting, but it's kind of cool that you can easily recreate these inside of CML. All right, and then I just select it, Control C, delete that, Control V, check it, 00, 00, 01, 00, 1212. Everything else is a loop back. And lo and behold, folks, we do a save as, we add in CML revised. And actually, I hope it saved it as a Word document. Yep, I need to get rid of that PDF portion. CML revised Word document. And then I go back to class and we simply upload this into the module or into the files. And you have, if you look here, CML revised, dump it, and we are good to go with 24.1.2 is complete. And so that's what's involved in creating each one of these so that you've got them available for you to use. And I've been leaving the PDF on the other ones just because I forgot it was there, but that's okay.
Kelly, question for you. I
Shoot.
know NetLabs and the real equipment you said you were working on. How's that project coming along?
The what now? Oh, the real gear. I'm waiting on NDG. I've got the gear mounted. I've got it ready to go. I'm just waiting on them to release release it. You know, I don't blame NetLab or NDG at all because quite honestly, there's only about maybe 8 to 10 schools that even need it or want it. Which is why I'm kind of working with CML. I don't think that we're going to have, I don't think the CCNP classes will continue to have support in the NetLab simply because it doesn't economically make sense for them. You know, they put a lot of effort into building. You'll notice there's a ton of labs in this. And to build all those labs and test them for 10 schools, it's just not worth their time. I mean, it's not. But I'm hoping they'll have that, at least the ENCORE available in the next couple of weeks. I was hoping it'd already be ready, but it's not. So I'm just waiting on them to release it, and literally we can flip a switch and have it up in a day. But it's just not available yet. So, but that, folks, is how we build a CML lab inside of here. Now, one thing I want to do, I want to show y'all something. We have labs coming up that use a basic virtual machine. So it's a Python virtual machine. Okay, CCNP virtual machine. It is pretty much the same VM that's used for DevNet. If anyone is interested, I would like to see how we could actually import this VM as, I'm gonna cancel this because it'll kill my bandwidth. Import this VM into CML as a native item, because you can actually add, you see these here, you can add QCals. You can actually add in under the lab manager. There is a way, let's see what the tool here is. Node and image definitions. There's a way to add in images. And so there should be a way to actually add this as a virtual machine, as a node that we can import. I've just got to figure out how to do it. And if anybody's interested in helping too, you could be looking at how we import that CCNP VM in. Because if we do, we've got the 1000V, we could build the lab that is needed easily for this lab right here. So we need this, and we need the R1, and this literally, the switch is nothing but just a way to connect the two together. But this is the 1000V, or something that supports the netcomp, which is typically the 1000V. But we could do that. We also have another way we can do these labs. I can let you do them with our DevNet pod. So we're not dead in the water if we don't get it put in there. But it's just something that's a side project. If anybody wants to kind of play with it, it's something that would be kind of neat to try to do. See if we could put that in there. The other thing that would be neat would be to see if we could get, if there's some way for us to get into these node definitions an actual Windows machine. So a Windows 7 or Windows 10 box that we could put in. And like I said, I've tried doing QCals, I've tried converting it, but you can do it with, like I said, with the disk image and manage image uploads. There's ways to do it, but it wants to be a QCal. And so I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. If anybody's already an expert in QCal, I would greatly appreciate the help in figuring out how to get this done. Folks, I've got to mute for just a second. Y'all, if you don't mind talking amongst yourself, just remember you are being recorded. But I will be right back in just a second. Sorry, I'm back. And Keisha, you sent out a thing, yeah, the Discord server invite. I tried to use it, the link you sent, and it wouldn't let me get in.
Yeah, I have to. I have found that I had expired after 7 days,
Okay.
so I had to change it to never expire. So when I go home tonight, I'll resend it out in Neticat to everyone.
Please do. Okay,
yeah,
please do,
it's really
because like I
cool.
said, that's why I'm not in,
yeah,
because it didn't work. It didn't work once it expired. So if you'll resend it, I'll definitely join. Now, one thing, folks, I'm actually going to probably take a swing at the ENCORE, probably the next week or 2 weeks, probably next 2 weeks. I'm gonna brush up on the BGP stuff a little bit, and then I'm just gonna go take a swing at it. So I may be able to talk a little more intelligently about it. Of course, I can't give you any details because that's illegal, but we could definitely use that Discord as a great way to kind of share information, talk to one another. But if you will resend, we will definitely be able to do that. The other thing that could be really cool would be, and I don't have it turned on right now. Actually, I can probably do that though. If you want to do, let me check the class. I can actually set it up to where the class is teams. And if you do it, you could actually do the lab or be on the lab at the same time together. So you could work on labs together. If that's something some people are interested in.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, I can do teams, and then you can actually do a team reservation, and I can put the teams on. I can put you on different teams, but really you can do a team reservation, and everybody, anybody wants to drop in together, you can say, okay, tonight we're going to do this lab together. And the cool thing is you could even say a team. Let me check to see if we could do this. Make sure everybody should be on the same team. Contains no teams. I'll put y'all on the same team. And then you'll be able to make team reservations together. So I have to figure how they move that around in here. But I think that'd be neat. That way you could work together. Teams, I've done, let me up that to 15 for the screenshots. So you should be able to do 15 screenshots if you want to. select
I
everybody.
wish my school had some money to get net labs. Wow.
Yeah, it is a wonderful. If it's okay with everyone, I'll put you all on the same team. If a group of you decides that you want to be on a team, you know, like 2 or 3 of you want to be on a particular team, I can move you to different teams too. But right now we could do a reservation and every single one of us could be in the same pod, that's kind of nuts, really. So we could actually go in here and if I did a reservation and said, okay, class, everybody, you know, our whole team is going to be on tonight, and we're going to work on, you know, whatever pod 1, and we'll be able to get in there together. So it's kind of nuts that you can do that, but it's really cool too. It's what I use when I'm trying to. We don't use the pods for synchronous learning very much, but when we do, we use teams so that we can have the entire class in a pod, and we can say, okay, now Keisha do this, you know, and Basil do this, do that, and so you know, it is there. The other thing, I don't know who said wishing they had net labs. We're working to share net labs with as many of our supported academies as we can, so we do actually share it to some people. Just contact me if it's something that you absolutely need. We do share, especially on competitions, we're sharing packet tracer pods for anybody that needs students who have machines who can't run packet tracer. We're doing that. This also where CML pods are. So if you ever see packet tracer pods, they're running on this same system. The other thing I will tell you is we do have the lab license for CML runs through June. So I'm not going to turn off your access when class ends in May. But if you're in here in June, I don't find out a way to extend the license past June, the CML pods may end after June. So just be aware of that. Okay.
CML is the NDG product or Cisco product?
Cisco product.
Okay.
Yeah. Cisco Modeling Labs. But they do have Cisco mod. Like I said, they've got this PDF here that they're kind of, you know, looking at ways to do it. You have to run it on your own NSX or ESXi server. Okay, David's also got some support he might can help with. So
yeah,
that's very good.
Okay, it's Cisco model. Okay.
Yeah, it's Cisco Modeling Labs. So
I really hope they come back with the education version. You know, when they had viral before, the education version was just half the price of it was less than half the price of the regular version until they killed it.
Yeah, till they killed it, exactly. And then they went to personal and enterprise. And you know, now, and be quite honest with you, Bezel, I've got a meeting, or I've got an email from Cisco Modeling Labs for Education, and I hope to call them tomorrow or Monday to see if we can't find out what they're going to charge. You know, what we need is a model to where, just like I'm doing now, where I can say I've got 5 pods, give me 5 license, and any number of students can use those 5 pods for the license lifetime, whatever happens to be, which I think is what they do have. So, you know, we'll see about it. And once I know, I'll definitely let the class know how much it is. You know, the other thing, we're not even scratching the surface of the fact that when you look in here, you know, and we haven't played with them a lot, but you know, there's some pretty advanced devices in here when you look at the fact that you've got in the lab, you've got the 9000s, you've got the oops, where'd I go here? I got stuff all kind of, where's it at? At a lab. I can't find my thing. Hold on. I pulled the line up and can't find it now. Oh, check this out. This is something I hadn't even looked at. There are sample labs that are in here. So 25 node example. So just be aware. If you boot up this 48 node, it's going to kill our server and probably wouldn't even boot. It probably wouldn't boot because it's so big. But we can build pretty large pretty large pods if we need to down the road. Let me go back over to this other one where I've got to. Come on, Workbench. My internet is so slow here at home. But we've got the 9000 series that are in here. Just be aware when you boot those, boy, they take a long time. That's one of the reasons why the original design for a lot of the labs was using the Cisco 1000V. And I changed that to use just the iOS-V because it is so much slower. Special requirements for CML, you need a lot of processor and a lot of RAM. That's the big thing. It's a lot of processor and a lot of RAM. Like I said, if you use the 1000V, it takes a long time for it to boot up. Same thing with the iOS XRV and the 9000 and even these. It takes a while for them to boot. But you know, that's one of the cool things. We do have the some of these advanced devices that we could use down the road in labs and things. So, in fact, you could build it. If you think about it, with the ASA in here, you could build an entire network with a DMZ and have an external site and do all kind of crazy stuff. It just comes down to pricing then, as whether or not it's going to be worth the price. So. And folks, that's really kind of all I had tonight, was just to go over some of this and look at it. I do want to talk about the VRF next week and talk about how VRF works, what it is, why we would use it, the fact that it's really just virtualization of the routing table and creating different routing planes to the VRF. And you'll notice there's not a great deal of it even in the book itself in the lab, but it's basically creating different virtual routing tables. So you can have different virtualized routing functions inside of the router itself, which is cool. But you also have to think about, this means the router's got to have support the capability, and the router has to have the processor and the RAM to be able to handle it. And we're getting now into their routers that are, you know, a lot of the routers have the ability to even run little, you can run little Linux boxes on some of the routers in their backplanes or in their virtualization subsystems. So it's getting kind of crazy what you can do with the Cisco routers. Any questions? And we will figure out this deal with saving things. I'll get that figured out. I'll get pastebin.com added so that you can paste those in. And for your labs that you are turning in to me, if you want to just do screenshots, or if you just want to upload the mouse pads with the configurations, both of those are fine with me. Okay. Any other questions? Any issues?
None at this time. So should we have the lab done before we come next week?
Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure you've got that one on the VRF, implementing VRF Lite, have that one completed. This one right here is, I mean, that one, the static route is straight out of CCNA. It's, you know, static route, floating static routes, fully qualified route, recursive routes. You know, this lab, honestly, if you're good with static routes, you may not even need to do that. Just read over it. But yeah, have 613 done so we can talk about it. We may even run back over it again in class just to see it work. And anybody, I know, Patrick, you may know more about VRF and everything than I do. So anybody that's an expert, feel free to jump in as we're talking about things.
Yeah.
Has anybody using my YAML files running any major issues yet? Or Keisha's files, any of them, other than not being able to save the configs? I mean, most of your commands should be working, I would think.
Yes. I mean, of course, the only one I ran into, which most people already know, is that when you're working with your layer 3 switch and you got to do trunking, you got to get past that encapsulation message. Yep. So I just posted that. But other than that, no.
Okay. Yeah, because the switches we worked with in the past only supported .1Q. The switching iOS virtualized supports both .1Q and ISL. So when you do switchboard mode trunk, you have to do switchboard encapsulation .1Q just to ensure, to make sure it does it. Or you could play around and make it ISL, but ISL Cisco proprietary, nobody uses it. So, but that's the one little funky thing that you can get into when you're doing trunking. Other than that, so far I haven't run into anything that doesn't work. So I'm really interested. If you do notice something doesn't work, just let me know, and we'll try to keep a list of those too. Yep, I'll do that, Keisha. I'll definitely do that. I'll do that as soon as it'll be Team B, if that's okay with you. Okay. All right, folks, I'm gonna stop my share and let me go, and I'll do that while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, a couple of questions, Kelly.
Okay.
I know you set out a schedule that you would like us to follow. I actually had wanted to read ahead first. So I was actually just reading through and not doing any of the labs as yet. So I actually reached chapter 12 now. But what I found interestingly, I had the old Kevin Wallace routing CCNP book.
Yep.
And I found quite a few of the topics. I read this new material, and then I went back to that book, and I actually preferred Kevin Wallace's writing style, with quite a few topics so far.
I wouldn't doubt it. He's a good writer. He's a very good writer.
So I'm just suggesting, I guess, if anybody who is, I mean, you're on the O'Reilly site and you're reading the current material, that if you really need to look over anything else, maybe go back and double read, and that other book may help.
Well, and it's if I'm not mistaken, isn't his book on the site too?
Yes, I think so.
I believe it is. Yeah, the old let's see, definitely his CCNA stuff is there. Let's look at CCNP. And I'll share the screen again here in a second. So you can see it, folks. Screen. All right, so Kevin Wallace is who we're talking about here. So I believe his old book, there's T-Shoots, the old book, and here's the routing, the old book, 300-101. So that's the old book. So if you want to go back and look at those, those are all there. So, and yeah, he's very good. So if you want to look at that, you could do that. And it's got, honestly, when you look at the table of contents, it's almost the exact same table of contents. So just be aware you're reading a little bit older version, but
yeah, a couple of things were old, like in BGP. In BGP, his stuff was old. I didn't deal with the address families as it was done with the new book.
Right. But otherwise, a lot of the stuff is going to be exactly the same because, I mean, let's be honest, spanning tree hasn't changed that much in a long time. So, and even BTP, looking at BTP, but yeah, you can look at a lot of different concepts in here that would be worth reading. That would be good. Okay, very good. Good point. Okay, everyone, I will make that team for you, Keisha. It'll be Team B again. Otherwise, anybody else have any questions? Let me know. Go ahead and let me know if you do.
I forgot, how many attempts do we have on the chapter exam? So we have at least 2 attempts if we want to take it over, or just
10.
1?
I think it's up to 10.
Okay. So
yeah, I actually give it up to 10 different attempts. So you're able to do that. Okay. Yep. Pretty sure I made it 10.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
We will see you next Thursday.
Okay.
We will see you next month, Professor.
Alziri, you, Keisha, and Tolu, right?
I think so. Yes.
All right. You are now Team B.
Cool.
All right. Sounds good. Thank y'all very much, and have a great afternoon, great evening, a great weekend. And I will, if you do need anything, email me, and I'll try to get on as quick as I can.
Okay. And I'll send out the Discord link tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, I'll send this out.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Definitely.